All right, hi everyone. This is Amani Michael from Intuit Hue, and today we're going to be looking at astroscopes for the last part of August. So we'll be looking at what energies are coming up for the period of August 15th through August 31st, and talking about some challenges, some opportunities, some different questions and insights that are coming your way in the last part of the month. I want to say thank you for your patience if you've been waiting for this to get started. I know that we are a few minutes behind schedule, 15 to be exact. I was trying to get all of these things set up. This live streaming is very new to me, so I appreciate your patience in that, and just want to make sure that I provide a quality stream to you. So I was working on testing some things. So we should be ready to go. And today we're going to move pretty quickly. So the way I have it set up is we're going to spend about 3 minutes on each sign for the first 40 minutes of the video. So I'm going to do a bit of an introduction like I'm doing now. And then around, after a few minutes, I'll start with each of the signs. And what I'll do is just progress through each of the signs, looking at 3 cards, spending about 3 minutes. And then after we finish all the signs, there's going to be about a 20-minute period where I'll answer any questions that you have. So if we're connected on Facebook and you're watching this live, feel free to send me your questions there. And if you are watching this live in the YouTube chat, feel free to write your questions there, and I'd be happy to answer anything astrology related or about the energies available this month, or you let me know what's on your mind and we'll look at it. So if you've watched past astroscope videos, you know that they're like horoscopes, but they're also unlike horoscopes. What we're basically looking at is how the energies of this period of time are manifesting for you. And the goal of looking at this is to be able to help you find the resources you need to manifest the abundance in the ways that you want to see it. So each of these sections, each of the signs is not for the sign that you were born into, the sign that you associate with your sun in your chart. That's not the only sign that's going to be relevant to you. So the thing is that we all have all of the signs and all of the planetary energies in our charts. I don't actually work with birth charts myself, but what I do work with in what I call relational astrology is the idea that all of the signs are present as personas, as archetypes, as different energies we can access, different characters we can play out, and stories we can tell. But they're available in different proportions in each individual. So you may be born with a sun in the sun in Pisces for you, but actually may resonate deeply with Sagittarius and Scorpio. So if you find that you resonate with other signs, basically whatever signs you resonate with, then that part of the video is going to be for you. So as I mentioned before, we'll spend about 3 minutes on each sign, and we'll just move through answering the questions that come up at the end. And so let's get started. Again, we are looking at the period of August 15th through August 31st and seeing what comes up for the end of the month. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and shuffle the cards, and I always recommend this as a space to stop, to slow down, to breathe, and to really settle yourself into the space. So right now you can take a moment and reflect a little bit on what it is that you're trying to manifest, what it is that you want to see in these next 2 weeks, what kinds of things you're hoping to build. And as we move forward, that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's go ahead and take a moment to breathe as I shuffle the cards. Okay. Alright, so we're about ready to get started. Yeah, just to open the space, I want to say before beginning, thank you so much for taking the time to watch along and to engage if you're here and able to write in the chat, or you can send me questions via Facebook, and hopefully I'll be able to see those before we close the stream and respond to them. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for engaging here and taking space for yourself and taking space to connect with me. It's really my dream to be able to share healing and insights with others and help them feel more alive and empowered every single day in their spiritual and personal wellness. So that's what I'm trying to do here, and I thank you so much for choosing to engage me this time. And if you're seeking a fuller reading after your sign comes up or your signs come up, and you are feeling like, hey, I want to know more about this, I want to know more in depth about this part of what you mentioned, or know more about my sign, my signs, then you can always visit our Etsy shop and book an astrological reading or any of our other numerous services, and we'd be happy to look at that with you. So please visit our shop, and we'll figure out what ways we can best serve you. So now we're going to start with Aries. Just to jump right in, and we're going to move quickly, so trying to be mindful of time, we're just going to move pretty quickly along. So feel free, if you're watching, I think it's enabled for you to go back in the video, to pause, to play up to the point of the live stream. And obviously if you're watching this recorded, then you'll be able to pause and scan as necessary. So let's go ahead. So to start with, we are going to jump right into Aries. And the first thing that we have coming up for Aries is the Four of Pentacles. So one thing that you might want to be mindful of, Aries, in the next 2 weeks is the management of your energies. How much are you holding back? How much are you giving out? Here I'm sensing that there's a likelihood that you're giving out a lot of energies and that you may want to hold on to some of them for future use, or just because they're not being used effectively where they're being received right now. They're not being received fully. They're not manifesting in the full ways that you are desiring. Usually when this card comes up, the Four of Pentacles, usually it comes up as a sign of like greed or unwillingness to open oneself, but what I'm sensing here is that there's actually a need to experience more closing and try to reserve some energies back. So just holding on to those energies, Aries. The second card we have coming up is the Ace of Swords. So what I'm sensing there first is that the reason why you'll want to reserve your energies early on, as is coming up in the Four of Pentacles, is that with the Ace of Swords, there's a specific situation where you're going to need those energies. And it's coming up inverse, both in its orientation and in energy. And so I'm sensing that currently those energies are not available, and they will not be available to you if you continue in the ways that you're continuing right now. So there's a need to conserve those energies so that they're available at another time. And the Ace of Swords usually comes up for really great opportunities to have a conversation that we're needing to have, to move an idea forward, to communicate more effectively, or to push something forward in a way that we haven't been able to before. So if you've been working at something and putting your energies in a lot of different places, or just feeling really like overexerted, then pull back, because you'll definitely need those energies in this next 2 weeks. So our last card that we're pulling is the Six of Pentacles. And what I'm getting with this card is just that you may really find it supportive to have others around you who are able to pour back into you. So if you're giving out a lot of energies right now, as I've mentioned, you're going to need those energies in the coming weeks to manifest the things that you're looking for. and you may feel really served by having others who are pouring as much into you as you're pouring into them, or at least something close. That's going to be of high priority in the next 2 weeks, Aries. So basically, to summarize, really being mindful of how you conserve your energies, and when you having discernment about when you're going to share your energies and put your effort into something versus when you hold back a little bit to have those energies available to you at another point in time. That's what we're seeing here. And again, if you're looking for a more personal reading or something more full, feel free to reach out and we can set something up to look at how these specific energies are playing out in your next 2 weeks for you individually. So that's what we have for Aries. Let's go ahead and move on to Taurus. And as I mentioned, we are moving pretty quickly. I want to make sure to keep within the 3 minutes so that we have time at the end to answer any questions. And if you're watching along right now and are seeing the live chat there, you can use that space to ask questions, and we'll visit those in the last 20 minutes of the show. So let's go ahead and get started with Taurus. All right, so Taurus, what we have coming up for you is the Two of Swords. And it's asking a very similar question to what just came up for Aries. The Two of Swords here is suggesting to me that you also practice some discretion right now, but to me it's feeling more around the types of ideas and the types of intimacy that you're sharing. This card suggests to me that there may be some sort of misuse or abuse of the energies that you're trying to share, of information that you're trying to share. If there's something, a big idea that you're working at, this does not feel like the prime moment to be sharing that information, as others may be watching and not have the best intentions of acknowledging you as the source, but to profit from your labors. More generally, if you are not working towards a specific idea, then there's just a sense that others may not have our best interests in mind right now. So for you, Taurus, being able to practice some discernment, and as that may be especially difficult right now, it may just be a time where you want to just step back and sort of, we'll move this chair forward, a time where you just want to experience some closing off as well, like I've suggested for Aries, just to hold back some of those energies for yourself. And I think this is especially important for you. So the second card we have is the Moon, and this, especially coming up with the Two of Swords, suggests to me that there's a lot of things you're not seeing right now, partially because you're not choosing to investigate them, but also because there are a lot of major factors moving that are clouding your ability to see, observe, witness parts of your experience. So there are other things moving that you're not currently perceiving. And again, pushing back to the Two of Swords that just came up, this may be especially a great time to hold back until you can figure out some of those things that are moving behind the scenes. And as a last card, we have the Hanged Man. This is a great set, honestly. So this card is related to Neptune and to Pisces then. And this card, the Hanged Man, is really about being willing to suspend our sense of perception, to not understand things in the way that we've always seen them, and really be willing to witness what we're witnessing as it is, to not need to reshape it into a reality that seems easier to understand for us, to allow some of that confusion to just exist and to give ourselves space to witness it. So as these three cards are coming up for you, Taurus, I'm just seeing a strong need to pull back and practice a more reserved position. This doesn't mean an inactive position, but one where you are able to witness and observe more than you are focused on engaging directly. So I hope that that serves you, and I hope that that brings some light into your situation and what's coming in the next 2 weeks. If you need a more precise reading or something more personalized, we can look at that. So feel free to reach out. in whatever way you can. The Etsy shop is ideal, and we can set up a booking and have a reading for you that focuses on your specific needs. So thank you so much. And let's go ahead. Gemini. Let's move into Gemini. Alright, so let's just hop right into Gemini. So what we have coming up for Gemini is the star, and this immediately makes me think of Aquarius. This immediately makes me think of Uranus, and I'm seeing this as an especially great time for you, Gemini, to manifest ideas. Yeah, just ideas like intellectual concepts, your philosophies, if you're working on an invention, who knows what you're doing. If you're working towards an invention or getting a product or a concept out there, this is really a great time to allow it to just manifest and multiply easily. So you may find right now your ideas are especially malleable, and they're shifting very quickly and able to be renegotiated, able to be you're able to get out a lot of iterations of the idea in a way that really allows you to see its potentials and to see the things that are limiting it from reaching its potentials and move forward with that. This also applies to any type of relationship or any other type of work where this may be an especially great time for exploring for you, Gemini. And as a second card, we have the Six of Pentacles. This to me feels like a need to remember that others exist around you and to be mindful of the ways in which you may be using their resources or taking advantage of things that they're offering to you. So we just want to practice some mindfulness around the people around you. They may be willing to give you a lot of their energy, but it's really also a time to ask how much you need of that energy and how much you may be able to give back to help that person or people or ideas continue to flourish, to not just take, but to also be given. And as the last card, we have the King of Swords. I'm seeing this as not a forecast of what's coming, but as a forecast of what would be coming if you don't open yourself to some of these other potentials, as have just been mentioned. The King of Swords really represents someone being very caught up in their mind and feeling very frustrated with things not moving forward. This is one way the card can be understood. So I'm saying really this is not a time to hold back for you, Gemini. For some of the other signs that have come up, that is the case. But for you, Gemini, I'm seeing a need to really push and to put your ideas out there and to explore them actively while being mindful of those around you. And that exchange of energy is really important right now. So revisiting the Six of Pentacles as that exchange of energy. So yeah, just be getting out there. It's what you most naturally do, Gemini. So feel free to just be in your natural process and push things forward, but also be mindful of getting caught up in your mind and overworking things. All right, so let's keep moving. We are a little bit behind. It's always the case with a Piscean spirit. We tend not to understand how time and space work exactly. So getting a little bit behind is not unusual. All right, so we've moved through Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and now we are at Cancer. So let's jump right in. So Cancer, we have the Four of Wands here. This looks like a recent celebration to me. This looks like something that just came up, or it's temporarily close is the point. It may have just come up, or it is coming up right now. It should be pretty obvious. This is a pretty obvious card, but something that is a celebration, something that you've really been desiring, something that you've really been hoping for. Maybe it didn't seem possible. Maybe it seemed like it was just a matter of time. But either way, it's coming to that point now. And there is a sense of accomplishment coming forward. But there's also a sense of disappointment and that I'm sensing in this card. And I would suggest to you as we begin this, just that you allow yourself space to honor the ways in which you're frustrated, the ways in which you feel like you are... Oh, I just noticed something. This has been on private. So I actually did not know who's been able to watch. Okay, so I just set this, I had it on private to test and I forgot to put it back on public, but it is now on public, so hopefully anyone trying to watch will be able to do so. I'll be mindful of that in the future. You learn as you go. Yeah, so for Cancer, I'm seeing a need to be able to acknowledge the ways in which you are frustrated with things that are also fulfilling, and honoring how complex that reality can be for you. And I'm finding with the Strength card that may be something very new to you, and it's going to give you it'll be a particular, like a skill that you have lacked in the past, and that may really, I don't even sense may, I'm seeing it as something that will very actively be supportive for you, and something where you'll feel you're able to bring more of yourself more honestly, more consistently, and with more strength in yourself, if you're able to witness and be present with these things that you want to celebrate, while also being present with your frustrations and how it doesn't feel like a celebration, or there's certain things lacking. Being able to honor all parts of that truth in these next 2 weeks will be paramount in moving forward your abundance. And here we are at the Wheel of Fortune as your last card, Cancer. And this really just feels like a reminder to take it day by day, to not feel overly pressed to have all the answers or to figure things out immediately, but to really take it day by day and figure it out as you go. So that's what we have coming up for you. Really be willing, Cancer, to honor all parts of the truth that are coming up for you, and that's what's going to lead you to the things that you're desiring right now. So thank you so much, and if you have further questions, you want to look at something more privately, more personally, more in depth, please visit our Etsy shop or reach out in some other fashion, and we can set up a reading for you. All right, so let's keep going. We have 8 more signs to do. I want to make sure we have time for questions also. All right, so here we are at Leo. Let's just jump right in. So Leo, we have the 8 of Pentacles. This card feels quite strange coming up for you. I'm sensing a need to practice some seriousness right now, and some need to really focus on the skills that you're building and sharpen the things that you feel least sharp in. So right now there may be a special amount of sensitivity. This card actually speaks more of a Virgo energy, and Virgo can sometimes be kind of sharp and overly critical. So you may feel in these next 2 weeks that you're being especially pressed, and that may be very uncomfortable for you, but here I'm going to suggest that you give yourself space to practice care. I'm going to pull the second card. The Hierophant is coming up second, and I'm seeing that as really a reminder that you do know your needs and you know your limits, but also being willing with the 8 of Pentacles to push a little bit further and be willing to stay in some discomfort. The 8 of Pentacles really is a beautiful opportunity to sharpen your skills and to sharpen your vision around the things that you want, and to give you very tangible means of achieving those things, whether it be relationships, work, anything. So really being willing to stay in a little bit of discomfort and to feel a little bit criticized and be able to transform that energy into something personally meaningful for you. The personally meaningful part is Hierophant, where you receive the information that others are giving you, and you as the expert of you integrate it meaningfully into how you pursue your passions. And the last card coming up is the Page of Pentacles, which is really just a willingness to learn. Be very curious right now. Ask, in what ways is this serving me? But in a very literal sense, in what am I able to learn from this? This thing that's frustrating me. Every time I feel frustrated in these next 2 weeks, what I'm going to do is figure out what it's teaching me. Or not even what it's teaching me, but what I can learn from it. You know, really becoming a student of your experiences and actively studying what's coming towards you. So that's what's coming up for you, Leo. Really just be open to experiencing some criticism if that's what you're feeling, but also just some pressures to really sharpen yourself and level up some of your skills. Being willing to stay in that space. And if you want to take a closer look at that with me, we can do a full reading, so just feel free to reach out via our Etsy shop. The link is below in the description, I believe. Yes, it is. And you can also comment below. You can also message, whatever you need. We can get a reading set up for you. So don't hesitate to reach out. All right, so now we are at Virgo, right? Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and now Virgo. So Virgo, what's coming up for you is justice. You may feel an especially strong sense of entitlement right now, Virgo, or an especially strong sense of like you've got it figured out. You're really feeling in these next 2 weeks a presence of certainty, but I'm also sensing that certainty is complex, and that you may be not exaggerating, but you may be especially emphasizing feelings of certainty because there are places of insecurity right now, places where you're not acknowledging your full truth. And that may lead to you feeling especially critical of others and not willing to have them witness you in the same capacity. So right now, vulnerability feels like an especially key point. So being willing to both see others and be seen yourself, and to be honest about the things that hurt and the things that you feel underdeveloped in, that's really going to serve you right now. The Two of Swords is suggesting to me that you're not hearing that truth, and it's going to take a second and some active work to hear that. So really strongly suggesting to you that you understand the Two of Swords is a dual-natured energy, and that cutting energy goes back and forth. And right now is especially not a time to understand it as just going one way, because we're asking questions of how you can manifest the things that you desire. This is what's coming up, and there's definitely a need to revisit the ways in which you're willing to give out criticism and willing to observe and critique and deconstruct others, but to not bring your fullest self to that deconstructive process is really limiting you in these next 2 weeks. But now that you're aware, Virgo, you can obviously work towards that. So just being mindful of that process in yourself. And with the third card, we have the King of Cups. You may feel that your emotional energies get out of hand in these last 2 weeks of the month. And that's really going to serve you. So allow yourself to feel overwhelmed with emotion. Virgo, it may be especially difficult for you to feel like you could cry in front of others or open yourself in a way of feeling vulnerable, asking for help, or just asking for others to hold space with you and see you. So that could be an especially good practice. I know Virgos we like to have things to do specifically. So if you want to practice achieving your abundance right now and manifesting it in the ways you're desiring, really opening yourself. See how much you can open yourself and what can come from that. All right, so yeah, Virgo, if you're looking for more information, reach out on our Etsy shop and we can set up a reading anytime that works for you. And look at these questions more in depth. All right, so we are at Libra. Is that where we are? So again, if you're watching along, I don't know who's saying this just yet, because I don't know how the public thing processes, but either way, if you're watching this in live, feel free to post your questions. Let me check the Facebook to make sure that we don't have any questions there. Okay. Yeah, let me just make sure. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so now we're at Libra. We just crossed the halfway point. Hopefully not in time. We're gonna have to speed up some. All right. So Libra, what we have for you is the Death card coming up first. It's coming up inverse. And what that suggests to me is that you are undergoing deep processes of transition. And this is not a literal death necessarily, in the sense of transitioning from one's body. That's not at all what this implies. What it implies is a deep change of state, a deep change of form, and yeah, as vague as that is, that's where you are in the next 2 weeks. On a deeper level, that's the deeper resonance available to you. And right now in Manifesting Your Abundance, I really just see you going along with that process in order to work through the things that you're working through and to work towards the things that you're working towards. I really just see a need to be in that process. We have the Strength card coming up second. Here this resonates almost exactly the same as the Death card. Even their designs feel somewhat similar. And with the Strength card, really just understanding that this is something you're going to have to go through at some point, and right now, in this next 2 weeks, is seemingly as ideal as any other time. And Libra, I'm experiencing or sensing some resistance from you, that you don't want to do it right now, that you think, maybe you're going to be able to get away without working on this. This is not what's coming up in the cards. You're really going to have to look at this and sit with it and process. What we have coming up for resolve is the Four of Wands. You are going to get what you desire out of it and be able to return to the beauty, the harmony, the comfort and pleasure that you desire. But it's going to take some work, and it's also not going to look in the way of like, oh wow, everything worked out and exactly how I planned. It's perfect. It's exactly what I desire and nothing more. It's complex. This is a complex truth. I think this was coming up for Cancer, was it? Already misplacing cards. But the Four of Wands is telling you that there's something melancholy about that beauty, and it's going to be complex. It's not just going to be pure sweetness that you can often be inclined towards seeking, but it's actually a complex truth that I see you may be struggling to reconcile right now. So really just give yourself extra space right now. Give yourself extra time to deal with things, and just make sure you're doing it. Make sure you're doing it, because I know that you're going to feel inclined to step out of it. And these are energies that are going to follow you. These are energies that are going to continue to be part of your process until you integrate them. So just really strongly suggest that you open yourself to working with them right now. All right, Libra, if you need more information and you'd like to look at that more personally and see more specific details about your situation and explore that together, feel free to reach out through the Etsy shop or elsewhere, and we can set up a reading for you. Okay. So next we have Scorpio. Is that who we're looking at? Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. So Scorpio, we have the Knight of Wands, which tells me that you're active, you're moving, you're doing things, which is not new. But you're focused. You're very focused. Maybe you found something or are finding something in these next 2 weeks that really has caught your attention, and you are pursuing it, and you're pursuing it very actively. Let's pull a second card here, the Eight of Pentacles. This simultaneously feels like that thing that has caught your attention is novel and particularly aligned with the things that you have been desiring, and that's why it's catching your attention so much. But I'm also sensing that there may be other things present that look equally as enticing or are just confusing the process of knowing what to go after. So in these next 2 weeks, I'm seeing a need to really know where you're going, and I don't see a lot of consequences for going and, you know, oh, it didn't work out. I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing a need to really commit to a direction. And this card stuck together. Six of Wands is coming up as like victory, which is a word that many Scorpios will identify with. But you're going to be able to claim that thing that you're chasing after. This is not unexpected for you, Scorpio. When you focus, when you desire something, it happens, and that's going to be the case here. Just don't doubt yourself or allow too much space for that kind of doubt. If you're doubting yourself, then just be willing to work through it and stay focused on what you're desiring. You see it clearly, and there's something about it that's particularly special to you, so just allow yourself space to continue seeking that. And that one seems like the most simple reading of all so far. But if you're looking for more details, feel free to reach out through our Etsy shop or however, and we'll set up a personal reading to look at that further. All right, so now we're at Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we have the Nine of Pentacles. There may be an especially great opportunity to find some comfort in the home or in workspace right now. This is really just your daily reality being in a very pleasant and comfortable place. So what I'm sensing is that that's what we're moving towards. I don't see this as a particularly complicated question. Either you're just arriving there or you're about to arrive there in these next 2 weeks. But finding a lot of comfort and finding a lot of sense of really being in the place where you need to be. Could be belonging, but belonging in a particular place in yourself, not belonging that comes from other individuals and community focus. This is a very personal fulfillment kind of card. Secondly, we have the Wheel of Fortune. I'm seeing that that's going to last a while. Like, that's something you're going to be able to enjoy a while without pretty much any specific efforts needed. I am seeing that not currently, but in the near future, and it does feel like past the scope of this 2 weeks, energetically, that's what it feels like. There are going to be times, where information comes to you, and because it doesn't seem aligned with the comfort that you're finding, you're going to want to reject it, and you're going to want to re-understand it and say, you know, that's not really valid or appropriate or relevant to my experience, so that you can continue fulfilling the fulfillment that you are experiencing here, and that's lasting with the Wheel of Fortune. But what's coming up is that I don't see this as being relevant to the next 2 weeks in particular. I see it more long term, like at least a month. You don't have to deny the things that are coming to you information-wise at that point in order to keep what you have. And in fact, it's actually going to strengthen what you have right now or are about to experience. It's going to allow those things more space to continue existing. So you especially want to be open to working with it. It's not a particular threat, so don't allow it to deconstruct everything. So that's where we are with Sagittarius. And let's We're not too far behind. Let's speed up just a little bit and we'll get finished. So now we're at Capricorn. Is that right? Yeah, Capricorn. If I happen to miss a sign, which sometimes does happen, then just message me and I'll write something or post something. All right, Capricorn. What we have for you is the Page of Swords. I'm sensing new intimacy and new vulnerability for you. This is particularly striking to me because intimacy and vulnerability can be so challenging for you. I think Capricorn, you can be feeling a lot of times that you're practicing openness and saying like, I'm doing the steps of being open, I'm communicating, I'm being honest, I'm trusting, I'm being vulnerable, like I'm opening myself, but there's often a guarded nature to that. So in the Page of Swords, I'm seeing a need to really investigate how much you are being intimate and vulnerable in your interactions with others or with your dreams. How much are you really investing yourself in them, and challenge yourself to push further than you want to do right now, that you're choosing to do right now. Then we have the Queen of Swords. This feels very, so we have the Page of Swords moving into the Queen of Swords. This feels very literally like leveling up. If you're able to do this and you're able to practice this vulnerability that's opening itself to you, then you're just going to be more skilled and you're going to be able to manifest more of your desires and get your ideas moving outside of your mind and manifesting in the world around you. And the Eight of Pentacles says that this is something you can repeat in several places in your life. So you'll be able to experience this type of growth everywhere in your life that you choose to practice this openness and vulnerability. So really just being willing to do that and don't fake it. Is it raining? It's raining awfully hard here. Had a lot of storms recently. Yeah, if you're faking it until you make it, that's not going to happen here. Actually do some practice. Read a book, learn about someone's strategies for intimacy and openness and vulnerability, or just focus on some things that are difficult for you emotionally and work through that, and you'll see your abundance manifest very quickly from that. And if you'd like to talk about that more, reach out and we'll set up a reading and look at those questions more in depth. All right, we're at Aquarius now. So let's just go ahead. I know a lot of you are waiting for Aquarius, so let's just go ahead and get into it. You also have the Nine of Pentacles coming up, just as Sagittarius did. And I'm sensing that you, Aquarius, are particularly disinclined right now or in these next 2 weeks to believe that it's really the type of fulfillment and comfort that you've been looking for. This is the real thing, though. The thing that you've been desiring is actually there, and you can accept it. You don't have to doubt it. You don't have to negotiate further. The things that are coming to you are things that you can accept honestly and really enjoy fully. And we have the Moon coming up again. It's interesting because it's like a condensed version of what Sagittarius is experiencing. I am seeing that this feeling of fulfillment and comfort is short-lived, in that I'm seeing you compromising and I'm seeing you sabotaging those things that are coming to you by choosing to not engage them fully, choosing not to believe in them. Really seems like it undoes them. So especially in relationships, where, you know, it could be work also. Not investing yourself fully because it seems too good to believe is really going to undermine your ability to have your abundance. You have to hold space for it, and you have to believe that you deserve it and that it's right for you, that it's ready for you. So that's what's coming up for the first two cards. And Justice really seems like the way you're going to learn to work with these energies right now in these next 2 weeks is by understanding that you are also deserving of something really beautiful, and that you are deserving of having things be easy sometimes, and that you do deserve the comfort and pleasure that are coming through the Nine of Pentacles. I'm almost saying that part of experiencing, like, being willing to say I do deserve something is, this is just what I'm sensing from the cards. It's not my personal opinion, what I necessarily agree with. But justice is sharing with me that the way you might process this is by also identifying things that you feel you don't deserve, things that are not for you, defining some boundaries. Really seems like it's going to be supportive for you. And again, that's not something I'm personally suggesting, because that's not something I would ever identify with, as far as I know. But that is what's coming up in the cards, and defining some boundaries for yourself and being willing to say, like, here are places where I really have not deserved this, and I've been able to experience it or not. Here's some places that I've been denied these things. So now I do know exactly what is mine and what I need and deserve to be fulfilled. That's what's coming up right now. So really just being honest about allowing yourself space to believe in the things that you want and have something really nice for yourself right now. Just be willing to accept that. That's what's coming up. And if you want more details, Aquarius, then you can share your thoughts with me below. Reach out in the Etsy shop. We can set up a reading, and we can discuss any of these things that are coming up and try to get some more specific answers or practices to work with. Alright, and here we are at our last sign, which is Pisces. And let's just jump right in. Alright, that really didn't feel right at all. Alright, so let's start here. So we have the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is coming up as an over-eagerness to win. This feels very Libra-like right now. I'm sensing this as a desire to just already be there. I know that I'm experiencing this myself, but a desire to just be like, I see where I want to go. Why can't I just be there already? And with the second card, Strength, what's coming up is that the work just honestly hasn't been done yet, and that in these next 2 weeks, it's going to be a lot of personal inner strength that we're going to have to deal with, which does not sound ideal to be saying that we have to work with solitude, but solitude is going to give us a lot of clarity until we're able to acknowledge that the places where we haven't done the work, and also that there may be environmental factors limiting us right now, the ways that things are just falling into place, is not aligning right now necessarily for the things that we desire, and that can be especially frustrating. So with the Six of Wands, there can especially be, and the inverse Strength, can especially be a desire to force things and to push them into existence, just do it. And I'm sensing with this, with the Five of Pentacles, there may be a strong feeling right now of feeling like you don't belong, or like you just can't have what you want, feeling very disappointed and just feeling very defeated, like I can't ever have anything that I want, or do I deserve these things? Is this what is always going to be the case for me? Again, I resonate deeply with a lot of these sentiments right now. The strongest point here looks like Strength, and it looks like being willing to say, right now I just have to be enough, and right now I just have to figure out how to work with what I have. And I do not think that this will be the constant energy moving forward, especially Pisces. We're always transforming, we're always shifting and always changing our shape and working differently with the things around us. I don't see that this is a constant state that we're going to have to work with, but right now things are not aligning in the way that we're desiring, and it's having us wanting to push it into place. But that may or may not serve us. We're going to have to really decide for ourselves and see what happens when we do that, see what happens when we're just working on our own. but definitely not to stay in a place of feeling defeated and like nothing is meant for me and I don't belong and everybody has something and I don't have anything. We're all in different processes right now and experiencing loss and transition and fulfillment and comfort and pleasure, and things are shifting, things are fleeting, things are challenging us to really demand more of ourselves if they're going to stick around. And Pisces, I have no doubt that with the resilience of your spirit, that you're going to learn incredible things from where you are right now. And not that we have to, I don't personally feel that everything happens for a reason, and I don't mean to say that you have to do this because you'll learn from it, but what I'm saying is things are happening right now and you can learn from it. You have the option to learn from what you're experiencing right now, and you also have the option to not learn from it. And I don't see that you'll be particularly comforted or particularly at a loss either way with what you choose. But I do see that there's a need to not carry this feeling of being defeated. Right now it does feel that your choices are pretty directly, they are having impacts in the world around you, but because of the alignment of other energies outside of yourself and because of some of the questions that you are not processing or not able to process right now, it's not aligning in the way that you most easily desire. So I'm seeing a willingness right now to really sit with feelings of discontent and be able to make something out of them anyway. And that's obviously not what I want to bring to you, but what I'm saying is that you do have an opportunity to learn some things. So maybe just as was suggested for I think Gemini and some others, just being willing to be curious about what you can learn from things, and really, if nothing else, see it as a challenge. See it as a way for you to say, I am so resilient that I can work through any of this and still make something beautiful. Yours seems like the most challenging of all of the signs right now, Pisces, but that may also be just because I really deeply resonate with Pisces and our challenges. But either way, you're going to figure this out, and it'll probably just be that you figured it out. Don't necessarily look for someone to rescue you or give you easy answers at this exact moment. See what you can do with what you have, and I think you'll be surprised. Alright, so that's those are the readings for all 12 signs, I believe. I don't think that I've missed anyone, but now that we've finished those, I'm just going to leave the space open for a few minutes. If we have lots of questions, I'll leave it open for 20 minutes. But if there is not, then I'll just leave it open for just a bit longer and just hold space for any questions that someone might have. Let's see. Just sharing it on Facebook again to make sure that everybody has a chance to see it. Yeah, I'll just hold space for a couple more minutes here. Yeah, so it seems like there's a lot of questions right now coming up in the cards around the idea of being willing to hold something back or being willing to open something up. So I'm seeing right now that there's a lot of negotiation around conservation and discernment of when to open energies, when to close them. It's always interesting to see what comes up with all these different signs, but we're all experiencing similar questions around the same times, but experiencing them in very different ways and needing different types of insight to be able to work with those questions most abundantly. It's always interesting for me to see what's coming up that way, because you never know what it's going to be, but it always is pretty consistent across all the signs. Also, for anyone watching, live or recorded, we are planning to start writing on, I have a number of writing projects planned, but one that I'm thinking on is getting out a book, like a foundational book on relational astrology, so that others can understand exactly how I use astrology and the ways in which it can serve our relationships and help us in our careers and pursuing our dreams and in our creative life and our spiritual life in all these ways. So I'm hoping to write some things on that soon, and we'll also probably be holding live space or just making videos to talk about some of the astrological concepts that I use in my day-to-day practice. Right now we're using tarot cards. Sometimes we use oracle cards to do the astroscopes, and this is because I don't work with charts yet in my practice. It's not from a lack of experience. I've studied them extensively, but in a lot of ways I don't feel aligned with the philosophy of many different systems available right now. So for me, working with birth charts and working with transit charts from the present is not immediately in my practice. So that's why I tend to use the cards, or I use an intuitive practice. But relational astrology, which is the astrological practice that I've developed myself, is a pretty non-traditional one. Obviously, in that it doesn't use the birth chart, we don't use birth times. But it's really centered around how we relate to others, how we construct the idea of the other, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to ourselves as divine, as earthly, as animal. Really about understanding the complexities of how we create self and other. That's the work that I do, and I find it really insightful in understanding relationships. Why are people treating each other the ways that they're treating each other? Why do we talk the way we do to each other? How do we construct a sense of identity as we're moving through the world? That's the kind of stuff that I'm really interested in which my astrological practice has shown me. So I'm really excited to be able to share that with you all and have you engage a little bit with the types of healing work that I do, the types of philosophical work that I do through my astrological practice. So yeah, just wanted to share that. These astroscopes are not exactly, this is why they're not horoscopes, right? A horoscope would have a different practice, and using the cards is not usually how people approach that. And also, I think the way that my astrological practice most comes through in these types of videos is in talking about how each of the signs relates to their sense of meaning and their sense of purpose. How do we create meaning as we navigate this world? That's what astrology has shown me. It's given me a lot of insights into those questions. And yeah, I'm very excited to be able to share that with you all. So I'm going to check again. So it doesn't appear that there are pending questions. So I'm just going to hold a few more seconds just to make sure. If anyone's watching live right now, please feel free to comment in the live chat and let me know if you have questions, and I can answer them right now and take a couple minutes to explore them. Otherwise, I'm going to close the live stream and sign off. So just give you a second to see if you want to share anything. Any info about twin flames? So I'm actually not super familiar with the idea of twin flames. Can you share with me just a little bit about what that means to you, and maybe then I can respond more fully. I'm not super aware of the idea of twin flames. Currently, my only consciousness around it is understanding it sort of in the context of soulmate, but I don't, that's not necessarily something that I've personally identified with. So I would love to hear how you're experiencing that, how you're understanding that, and share a little bit about my process if I can. Yeah, so I'll hold a second here just to, in case you want to share on that, and in case anyone else wants to offer a question to the space, I'd be happy to share anything that I can share. I'm thinking that the first, I don't know if I want to announce it here on live cam. We'll see. I don't know. I'm working on, I want to write a text that explores each of the planetary influences, of which for me there are specifically 12 major influences. I work with Aries and I work with Earth, and I do work with Pluto. And I'm just checking to see if anyone else. I do associate Earth with Taurus, for example. I associate Aries with Virgo. So there are some specific changes in my practice of astrology. I also work with other influences beyond those 12. So if there's some asteroids or specific other embodiments of energy, then I also am interested in what they contribute and asking that type of question. So I'm hoping to write some texts that explore that question for people, since it's so central to my practice. Michaela says, the theory that folks share a deep soul relationship beyond soulmate-ish, but that the relationship is one of learning and mirroring each other. Often these relationships are difficult, but very deep and psychic. So I'm reading a comment from Michaela here. These are not my words. Anyway, curious if the cards have any guidance for folks that are struggling with having strong psychic connection to someone that is problematic. Oh, I'm asking the same question. Yeah, we can definitely pull a card or two for that. So if the cards have any guidance for folks that are struggling with having a strong psychic connection to someone that is problematic. So yeah, that's super relevant. Thank you for asking that. So when someone is in a problematic place and or a violent or abusive place with their own energies or with us directly, either way it can affect us really deeply. And I think especially for a lot of people who are just starting to identify more with spirituality, or people who are being introduced to spirituality through New Age kind of spaces, Western New Age kind of spaces. I don't know about other places. A lot of times there's an overemphasis, I feel, on opening. You know, it's all about, how do I release? How do I let go? How do I just accept and let this flow? And I don't think that there's enough conversation a lot of times around boundaries and how do I have discernment? This is what we're talking about in this reading, right? For the last 2 weeks of August, we're talking about discernment. We're talking about opening and closing. So it's super relevant, as it almost always is. But I feel that probably a lot of people are experiencing that sense of over-attachment or over-connection, psychically, spiritually, directly in person and emotionally. They may feel that they can't engage those connections from more of a distance, or just have discernment about which energies they're going to allow to flow into their process. So thank you so much for asking that question, and I would love to pull a couple cards, but I definitely do see people not understanding the importance of having, I don't want to say boundaries, I don't particularly believe in boundaries, but having discernment and having an understanding of how to negotiate with that openness, and how to receive something when we're able to receive it, and when we're holding space for it, and when we can honor it. So let's pull a couple cards of guidance on that. And again, if someone else has a question, please let me share it right now, because I'm gonna close the live stream at any point that I feel like the questions are starting to close. So if you have something that you would like me to explore, please let me know now, so that we make sure to have space for it. So guidance for folks that are struggling with a strong psychic connection to someone that is problematic. So the first card that I believe is the first card that came up in this reading was for Aries, with the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles really is about reclaiming that idea, right? If we deconstruct what this card means, the first word that most people probably associate with it is, or that I see a lot of people bringing up, is like selfishness, self-centeredness, or just like greed, or I don't know, having a very personally centered focus on how we're using our resources. And I think there's some shaming that happens when we talk about holding on to something, right? Especially in marginalized experiences, a lot of times we're being asked to share endlessly about what we're experiencing, and to explain and to comfort the people who are causing so many violences in our experience, and just to be all of these multitudes of archetypes for those who are furthering our pains. And I just have so many thoughts right now, which is always the case. I think there's not a strong enough conversation around knowing when it's okay to close off, and knowing when it's okay to say, I don't owe you anything, I don't want to give you anything, and it's also not wrong for me to not feel generous right now. Whether it be because energies are being taken away without our consent, or because we are partially consenting and partially engaged in our agency and partially engaged in wanting and choosing, but it's complex, and we don't, if I love someone very deeply and I want the most for them, and I feel that I can offer that to them, but it's gotten to a point where they don't even know how to discern when they're asking for things from me energetically or directly with words, it becomes complex to negotiate that connection. And so I think what this card is suggesting to me is that, first of all, we need to know that conversation needs to be had, and then we need to understand that it is right to be able to say, I'm closing this off right now because it's not being, not even because you need it, but if there is one, then saying I'm closing this because I'm seeing that these energies are not being received, they're not being manifest in an abundant way, this is not a connection that is serving me, and on that basis I'm choosing to close right now. I think being willing to just have that conversation specifically, and I'd like to offer a practice too. The card is Judgment. This is another word for discernment. Struggling with having a strong psychic connection. I think that this is reminding me of the third eye chakra. I feel like the third eye chakra really works around patterning and modeling concepts. And as it's also a center for many people to be receiving strong psychic connections and maybe being drained or violated or abused in those ways through the third eye chakra, then literally just having in your mind a pattern of saying that it is right, even just as like an affirmation, or just literally the thought in your mind of saying it's right for me to be able to discern between connections that I want to open and allow to flourish, and things that I would like to not engage right now. I think just being willing to have that, right, like, can really, especially as it's coming up in the cards, not as anything else or anything more specific than this, I really think just having that pattern in the mind and being willing to say, it's okay for me to feel this way, that energy really resonates with the third eye chakra in my experience, and can then be patterned out, and the body and its energetic connections will then respond. So some type of like active severing may not even be necessary. I know a lot of times people talk about severing that connection spiritually or psychically. I don't necessarily see that that's the ideal route for the question that you brought up, Michaela, right now. But I do see that you may find, I don't know if you're asking for yourself or for others, but either way, it can really serve someone right now who experiencing that to just have it modeled in their mind and hear an affirmation that that it's okay to not engage. So maybe centering messages like that and literally just allowing your brain to see that and hold it in your mind will naturally balance out any connections that are not serving for deeper growth and abundance. I hope that I've said something that you are finding meaning in and able to resonate with. If not, then yeah, definitely message me personally and we can talk about that further, just like casually, or if you want to look at it specifically and intensely, we can book a reading and look at that. But either way, thank you so much for asking that. If someone else has a question, then please let me know right now, because we're approaching the hour and 15-minute mark, and if there's not anything else here, then I'm going to close the space and sign off. So just give a minute for that. Also, thanks to everybody who's watched live, or if you're watching this as a recording, either way, thanks so much for engaging. Like, I really do appreciate it. And sometimes I create or share of myself, and a lot of times it goes unengaged, and sometimes it's very confusing for me because I really am hoping to just hold space for others. But yeah, I appreciate when others come, because it feels like they're holding space to witness me, but also holding space to witness themselves. And I really feel like being able to witness ourselves fully is how we can work to create cultures of more accountability and more connection and more healing for all of us. So I'm especially excited to see when folks engage that. And yeah, I'm just excited. So thanks to everyone watching now, everyone watching later, and always know that you can reach out in our Etsy shop, which is intuithue.etsy.com, or to reach out via email or Facebook with questions or just to connect. You can always comment below with any thoughts that are coming up for you. Tell me what resonated for you. Tell me what didn't resonate. Tell me how you're seeing these things play out in very specific circumstances. Tell me if there are resources that I can provide in this space to help you process more fully. Either way, the point is I'm here to help serve you. So this is a resource for you. So please just let me know any way that I can be of service and a resource in your life. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and close now. Let's make sure and check. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and close, and this video should be made available pretty much immediately here on YouTube, and will be logged. So if you're watching live, you can go back and rewatch anything that you may have missed, and I'll go through and put timestamps on all the signs. But yeah, thank you so much for engaging me today. Thank you for holding space with me and for holding space with yourself and investing in yourself with these insights. And yeah, I'm really thankful to see you here with me, and I hope that you found something of service. But either way, with love and light, Amani, and I'll talk with you soon.